A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching CNN News 18. I am Koina Sharma with all the latest news and updates from in and around the world. But first up, we have a day after Union Budget was presented, fireworks are expected in the Parliament today as well. Both houses will have a discussion on the motion of thanks to the President address. Now, matters of urgent public importance raised during 0 hour will be taken up today. And at around 10 a.m., opposition party leaders will meet at the Rajya Sabha's LOP's office to chalk out the strategy of the ongoing session. Now, the Finance Minister Sitharaman presented her fifth budget speech in Parliament on Wednesday. Now, Sitharaman announced attractive incentives and rebates in the new income tax regime, a steep hike in capital investments, and the biggest ever outlay in railways. My colleague Anand Narasimha Rao spoke to Union Minister Piyush Goyal on the Amrit Kal budget. Let's take a look.
There was a roadmap for Gati Shakti. Why we last met when you launched the entire logistics blueprint. In this budget, it just looks like you're taking great steps towards achieving that goal. Your assessment, let's start from there. Road, rail, and of course the ports. It's about connecting India. The Bharatmala project.
Shakti, I can say it's a transformational initiative. The way Prime Minister Narendra Modi has conceptualized Gati Shakti, it's completely changed the way we plan our projects, the way we execute our projects, monitor our projects, and finally implement them successfully to serve the people. For example, using Gati Shakti, we have identified over 155 critical bottlenecks, which if plugged, can actually make logistics costs significantly lower. Then we were able to find that almost 42 of them are at different stages of approval or implementation, so we have the funds for that. About 100 projects we identified, which costs about 75,000 crores, which if we can quickly implement, it will have a transformational impact on our logistics costs and ease of doing business for both domestic and export business. So Gati Shakti is truly giving us remarkable results. Project planning has become smarter, better, implementation is faster, and I'm sure in the years to come, every rupee spent on infrastructure will truly have a big impact on India's competitiveness and India's ability to keep our wheels of the economy moving better and faster.
Will this budget bring out the animal within the private sector? Because it's important to create jobs. It's important to go ahead and grasp this growth story. We need the private sector to bring out the animal instinct in them.
All private sector corporations, both in goods and in services, report that they are finding their capacity utilization has improved significantly. Post-COVID, the demand has been good. Their sales have been robust. Their international engagement and exports have grown manifold. And I am quite confident that with this budget, which has given a big boost to infra spending and capex spending, the private sector investments will also get a leg up. PLI has already been adequately funded in this budget. It has been approved in the past budgets for 1,97,000 crores in industry and 76,000 crore for semiconductor. We already have the approval and the funding. Wherever a specific sector comes up with a scheme and with the guidelines, we go to the cabinet and the cabinet is authorized to approve it. It was never expected to be a part of this budget. It is already a part of earlier budgets and fully approved.
Final question,
You'll keep
Piyush.
Hearing about announcements in the days to come.
Piyush, final question. Opposition jibe is this government over promises, under delivers.
Well, I would like to ask them whether we have delivered or not 3.5 crore approximately houses for the needy and deserving. I can keep listing out the many achievements. And this is a government that performs. It's an action-oriented government. We under-promise and over-deliver. And I think that is the angst of the opposition. And that is why the people of India continue to bless Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP for the good work that Prime Minister Modi is doing.
My colleague Anand Narasimha Rao spoke to Union Minister Smriti Irani on the 2023 budget and how it will benefit the youth and the women. Let's take a look again.
I want to understand, does this budget meet your personal expectations?
Of course, and more. I think, as been enunciated by the Finance Minister, this is the Amrit Kal budget, a budget that not only gives you a promise to address the issues of the present, also correct mistakes of the past, but it's also a budget that helps you build the future of India. As far as I'm concerned, I'm elated that the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is seeing a jump of 66%. I am elated with the special savings instruments which has been pronounced by the Finance Minister for Women. I'm extremely grateful for the fiscal space given for the elderly in our country. I am extremely grateful that the budget is humane enough to consider the needs of reading and children and young adolescents. When the Prime Minister says that capital expenditure will go up and infrastructure spend is increased by 33%, and now 10 lakh crore rupees will be spent, roads will be built, airports will be built, does that not help every community, including the minority community? When the Prime Minister speaks of his vision of building new medical colleges, does that not include members of the minority community? When we talk about the new education policy and the gender inclusion funds, does that not include the minorities of the country? The fact that every facet of government today is servicing every community is what is the strength of India. So when the Finance Minister pronounced a whole network and framework for enhancing the capacity of Vishwakarma and especially our artisans, which community do you think they belong to? And this is one of the most ambitious targets that the government has ever set in the history of our democracy. Speaks volume that this budget is not only an economic instrument but also an instrument for change and an instrument that is grounded in humanity. So I'm grateful particularly that as an anchor, you placed attention to the sickle cell anemia pronouncement of the Finance Minister.
Because it stood out. It stood out because this does not come under common cognizance, and when the Finance Minister spoke about it, it stood out. But along with setting out a roadmap for Bharat in 2047, a Samarth Bharat, a Sampanna Bharat, a Samrit Bharat, as the Prime Minister said, there is also seems to be an eye on Lok Sabha 2024. A lot of the constituencies that seem to be beneficiaries of this budget.
The Prime Minister has always said...
There is an element of populism.
The Prime Minister has always said... I'm sorry, I'm cutting you.
No, please, go ahead.
No,
You're
I'm
most
sorry,
welcome
I'm cutting you through this particular pronouncement of yours. But the Prime Minister has always steadfastly maintained this will not be the first ever Lok Sabha elections that we'll go to with him as Prime Minister. This is our second. Which we will win, and I am grateful that you have highlighted this particular question with regards to the Prime Minister's leadership, because he's had budgets before which has been pronounced by his Finance Minister. He has never looked at any budget from the perspective of how to get more votes. I think that is why he has the overwhelming support of citizens of this country. Every citizen knew, and this was tested even during the pandemic, every citizen knew in our country that this is a Prime Minister that prioritizes India's needs and not his political needs.
My final question, Smriti Irani ji, what's going to be your thrust? What's the mandate for you as per this budget going forward?
Well, if you ask me as a citizen, I am the daughter of two senior citizens, hence I'm extremely grateful that pronouncements have been made for senior citizens today. So we are getting future ready, but we are also ensuring that we leverage our inherent talent. That the cooperative ministry was first brought into existence under Prime Minister Modi's leadership is something which is a silent revolution that is brewing in our country.
CNN News 18